Hello YouTube, welcome to RC Buggy Bash, and I'm Jason, and this is another Tamiya. It's Tamiya WT01. This particular chassis came out, I think, in 2012, maybe 2011. I got this one 2014, I think it was. This was the Blackfoot Xtreme. So is that the Blackfoot 3? The original Blackfoot came out on the kind of the Blitzer Beetle style of chassis, which was very much similar to the Subaru Brat and the Frog. That was in the 80s and 90s. So when they re-released the Blackfoot, they did it on this chassis, the WT01. It's a two-wheel drive. It's monocoque ABS chassis. Quirky as always, as far as Tamiya goes. There's always something quirky about it. There was a couple of different versions of this with different body shells. The Blackfoot had the kind of Ford truck pickup kind of style. Hard ABS, black with some beautiful decals. I have that in storage. It also came in a four-wheel drive version, which was called the Wild Dagger, I think. And the way that the four-wheel drive train worked was it was twin motor. So this chassis is diagonally symmetrical. And the way it works is it has a gearbox here underneath, and there's a front bulkhead. In the four-wheel drive version, it was two gearboxes. So this bulkhead would be a gearbox as well. And it'd have a motor sticking out in the same way right now. There's a motor here driving the rear wheels. The other motor on the other side would drive the front wheels, and they would work in tandem. So you could have it four-wheel drive. And because it is symmetrical in that fashion, the front and rear are, for all intents and purposes, indistinguishable. They're the same. They're literally the same. So there's the servo, which in this case it's another Savox high torque. I think that's actually a 20 kilogram because, well, it needs a high torque servo to be able to pull these wheels around. I mean, I think they're 120, 130 mil. Basically the same that's on the Blitzer Beetle. I've got bearings, that's why it just keeps on spinning. So yeah, you need a fairly high torque servo. Kilograms is what you need rather than speed for something like this. It's a big car. It has a big footprint. It's a 1.5 foot square, which does give it some interesting drive characteristics. It's really quite planted. So yeah, the chassis was really unique in the way it was designed. You could have it four-wheel drive. You could have it four-wheel steer as well, because as I said, you've got space for another servo. So you could have the rear wheels steering at the same time as the front. Mine's just two-wheel drive. I have a lot of fun with this one. I've used it on trails as well because it has really nice suspension. I've probably over dampened this again. That seems to be my go-to at the moment. This is not quite stock. It has a couple of upgrades on this one, and if I just switch cameras, so the main one, as you notice immediately, it's got alloy shock towers. The normal shock towers are fairly good. These give you more height and more width, so you can actually put bigger shocks on. So these are 100 mil shocks on this. These are the Absina oil-filled aluminium ones. Really nice quality. They're basically my other go-to over the G-made ones. And having the additional travel over and above the kind of, I think this comes stock with 75, maybe 80 mil shocks. This has insane amount of suspension travel, and it has a lot of articulation. It's really nice in the way that it actually moves, and the suspension as a whole has got a lovely feel to it, even though I've got it a bit heavily damp. I mean, it still has droop, one of my favorite things. But I mean, I could soften the springs and that would probably solve some of the problems. Well, some of the issues. The other thing, and I don't know if it was noticed there, if I turn it, face the camera a bit more, as with many Tamiyas, when this goes under full compression on the front, if you look, you can see the wheels. They are turning. So compression steering basically is what that is. It's when the suspension geometry pulls the wheels into each other and you get massive toe in compared to where it's neutral or slightly toe out. Toe out gives you more of aggressive steering in and out of corners. So you want a little bit of toe out. But when this lands, if it lands uniformly, you'll get bump steer, which is never good, but it makes the thing an interesting drive. There's probably ways that you can counter it. In many cars you can reverse some of the steering hubs, possibly put the turnbuckles on the other side of the hub rather than on the top. But I generally don't worry too much about that. It's a fun car, so that's what this is to me. It doesn't need to be really high performance. It's to do with the fun of driving it, and this is really good fun to drive. I've also got alloy hubs on mine, on this one. These are all from RPM. I think it's RPM. Pretty sure these are RPM parts. Fully ball raced, and yeah, it's got really nice suspension. I love doing that. It's like ASMR. Suspension. ASMR, whatever. So, what else have I got in here? Okay, I'll just go back to the top view. A fairly standard affair, as they say. Mention I've got a high torque servo. It has just the standard 540 silver can in there. I might put a heatsink on it at some point. I fancy putting a torque tuned actually in this. It can already do 20 odd miles an hour, but a torque tune will give it a bit more oomph for the off-road side of things. I've got another FlySky receiver. That's plugged into my unit that has the other 9 cars onto it, so I drive this with a lot of those. And in here it actually has a Model Sport UK branded M-Tronics speed controller. This is the Sniper RV12, which means it can go down to a 12 turn brushed. And I had a few of these from previous cars. They're brilliant actually. They're really simple. They're plug and play. They're 100% waterproof. You can go swimming in a pool with this and it'll be fine. Absolutely fine. There's no sophistication about it. It's not like it's a Hobbywind 1060 or something where you can put lipo and things through it, even though I think you probably can. I think you can actually change this to allow it. Yeah, it is programmable. I remember it being programmable, so you can run lipos on those. This is just using a 2000 or 3000 NIMI in there, but you'll still get a good half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour's driving out of that. Because again, it doesn't have a massive taxing drivetrain. Bearings all round. I haven't done any fancy stuff with turnbuckles and things, which I could and I might in the future. But this is a really good garden basher. It's a big solid car that's fun to drive. And as always with Tamiya, it's a nice unique kind of design. One of the things that's really nice about it, I don't know if you can tell, but the chassis itself it's quite flat. There's not a lot of profile changes in it, so you can put a lot of different bodies on this with minimum effort, and that allows you to have lots of different combinations of things: pickup trucks, monster trucks, old-fashioned trucks. I've got like a 1950 style body shell that I'm hopefully going to be putting onto this, a bit like the Midnight Pumpkin, similar to that. And that's the kind of type of car this is. It's a bit like the Lunchbox. It's a bit like the Monster Beetle. It's just a good fun wacky thing to drive around. Big 130mm wheels, and huge ground clearance. I think at the lowest point, this has got 5 centimeters of ground clearance, so it's good for that kind of long grass driving. There's still quite a few hop-ups that you can get for these. It shares similar parts with other cars. It has very similar suspension architecture as the Manta Ray, so you could get various parts for the lower suspension from that. You can upgrade the drive shafts, and of course you can do bearings throughout, which is what this is. So yeah, this is a really good grass soft track kind of stuff, good for messing around with it. Out of the box, it's got great suspension, great handling, even with the bump steer. That just adds to some of the fun. Oh, you can really see it there when I did that bump steer. Look at that. See how much the toe goes in with that. But it's a Tamiya, kind of what you expect. This will be another one that I'll be taking out shortly to get some footage of on the garden. I'm starting to plan and think about that track kind of setup. I'm not actually, my wife would kill me if I built an actual track in the back garden, but the garden will be more suitable for driving cars around, hopefully in the next month or two. Ooh, I've actually just noticed I've got some maintenance to do. I need a new bumper. Don't know if you can see. No, it's got a tiny, looks like a tiny hairline crack just on it, and it's moving around. Yeah, I need to have a look at that. Anyway, WT01, Blackfoot Xtreme, or if you want the 4-wheel drive version, Wild Dagger. They're not really, I don't think they're currently available, but you will find them on the Fleabay. You'll still find these around, but they were really quite popular. It's a great chassis. It's a good bouncy, jumpy truck, and it's a lot of fun. So I love this thing. I'll be taking it out soon. It's almost ready. Well, once I get a new bumper for it, it'll be ready for doing some jumps in the garden, and that will be happening shortly. So might not be a video next week. What week is it at the moment? It's the 2nd of March. Wow, it's March already. We are being hospitable to my wife's grandmother, who's 94 years old, so we're going to be looking after her for a little while. But I'll see if I can get something out. If not, normal service will resume shortly after that. So as always, and especially in this current odd world that we live in, where friends and allies are suddenly potentially not friends and allies anymore. It's a very bizarre thing that we're living through at the moment. But stay safe wherever you are, and keep RC fun, because that's what it's about. Stay safe and have fun with RC, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you do like this kind of content. I'll be doing more reviews of my cars. There's a special one coming very soon. Yeah, you guys have been great. I've had a substantial increase in my subscriptions. It's been amazing, and I have to thank you for that. If you have any questions or comments you'd like to make, obviously down in the comment section. Feel free to ask anything, and I'll try and answer as soon as I can. So thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye now.